Sports Cave live after a big Lions win. And my guest here, Rico Beard from the Spartan Beat in Lansing and Rivals.com, is shaking his head and still saying those words. Same old Lions. What's up, man?
You know what? I'm trying to be respectful because I know Lions fans are getting ready to plan the parade down Woodward tomorrow. Everything that we've often said about the Lions, Matthew Stafford, they won a big game. Stafford's gone out and beat a big-time opponent. And it was so Lions. Who did not see this coming? I don't care. Vegas, it wasn't a big line. If you know the Lions, if you know their history, this is what they've done. I mean, somehow or another, I guess it's fitting I'm on here. I feel like I'm going to end up channeling the spirit of Drew Sharp before the night is over.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Anytime we can have Drew join us vicariously through you, we'll take that any single time. But yeah, there it is. There it is. But no, I think you're right. And we were down there for the first half of the game, and I was watching, and I was kind of thinking to myself, you know what? It would be so Lions of them to win this game. Now, here's the thing, and our esteemed sports producer, Mike Foss, is watching. There's 30 seconds left. He goes, well, it's just a two-score game. Because he still, as a lifelong Lions fan, is going, this isn't real. This isn't reality. So now, here's the task for the Lions. Go to Dallas next week and beat a bad Dallas team in their place, and then you're going to have some people going, okay, maybe this is for real this time.
Yeah, this win took away the stench of the first game against the Jets. We can forget about that one, but you got this one. If I would have said, you know, this was going to be the record after 3 games, you would have thought, okay, they win the first game, they lose to the Patriots. You beat the Patriots. Let this be motivation to you to go forward and to actually beat the Cowboys, okay? Because that schedule, it was a weird day in the NFL today.
Yeah, it really was.
Better win was the Buffalo Bills or Detroit Lions, and you said the Lions, and I said, well, the Bills had somebody quit on them.
Yeah, that's true.
Halftime.
Rookie quarterback, they go to Minnesota. Maybe the Vikings didn't take them as serious as they should have with this week of practice.
Here's the thing. If you're Detroit, you're Matt Patricia, you won the game. There are a lot of things you still need to fix. I thought too many field goals. You had a chance to really put your foot on their throat at the end of the half and at the beginning of the first half, and you ran out of time and you threw the interception. Now, I don't know what's wrong with the Patriots because they looked awful, but you know what? If you're Detroit, you take this game and you don't apologize for this victory.
No, and they won't. I'll tell you that much. None of these players are certainly going to do it because the first 2 weeks they had to hear about, you know, reports coming out that there's a disjointed locker room, and then the second week comes out that these guys don't want to play for Matt Patricia, which is, you know, hogwash in reality. But now they can finally put some things behind them. Golden Tate said it best, getting the first win is always the hardest to do. Want to set the show up a little bit. I know we dove right into it. We were just excited. There's a lot of just, you know, there's a lot of juice going on right now.
Super Bowl.
All right.
I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Did I say that was Drew? That was Drew.
That was Drew. That was Drew. Brad Galley will be joining us shortly from Ford Field. We're also going to talk about Michigan and Michigan State. They both moved up in the AP poll after 2 wins over some lackluster opponents, maybe, if you will. One has a little bit more juice to it than others. We'll get into that later on the show. But I really do want to open it up to you guys at home watching tonight. You probably saw the Lions game. You're probably excited as well. We want to hear from you. We'll get into your tweets throughout the show.
No drunk tweeting.
Don't do that. Hashtag 7SportsCave. I'll start pulling those up, and we'll get to those as we continue our discussion here with the Lions. But I think the big story from this game, not only the win, but the Lions ran the football really well. Now, granted, they did do the whole thing and break the 100-yard mark for running back for the first time in 5 years. So kudos to Kerryon Johnson, the rookie, for doing that.
They killed every stereotype tonight.
They did. That was another kind of Lions thing to do.
Belichick kills his assistants. Belichick lost. Stafford can't win a big game. Stafford won a big game. Can't get a 100-yard rusher. 100-yard rusher. They broke every stereotype.
And it was the offensive line deserves a complete kudos to what they did tonight. They moved bodies around, and I think 2 weeks of hearing, you're tipping plays and you can't block anybody, and Matthew Stafford's getting hit. They blocked people, and if they could do that performance and repeat that, they're gonna be a team that can actually do good things. Let me pose this question to you: what do you take away from this game beyond just a nice win? Because I know we're kind of joking about like, oh, you know, the Lions are going to lose next week, but what do you look at this and you take away?
I mean, a fact of trying to find Spider-Man Allen to cut another one, but to dust part 2. No, seriously, what you take away from this game, this team has learned you can win and you can beat the big boys. You can compete. You can go out there and you can hang with, because everybody thought the Patriots, you know, they're the gold standard.
Right.
You beat them. You beat them badly. You made Tom Brady look pedestrian tonight. So that's what you take away. You take away the fact that, you know, I know the whole comeback in the fourth quarter thing, Matthew Stafford. No. You know what Matthew Stafford enjoys more than that? Having the lead in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Not have, you know what? Let's run the ball, let's eat clock, and let's let them catch up to us. This team showed that they can go out there and win big games. This was the one. I'll give you credit because I've often said you never won that big game. They won the big game tonight. So you know what? Welcome to the fraternity. You're in the big boys club. You're at the big boys table now.
Speaking of just crushing stereotypes, they still haven't beaten a team with a winning record because the Patriots didn't have a winning record.
No. Why are you so negative, Justin? Jeez.
I'm just saying that you said that they're playing with the big boys and whatnot. And I'm thinking to myself, well,
oh my God,
really
this is the year the Patriots go 7-9.
I'm just.
They go 7-9, and this victory doesn't count.
I'm just saying. Andy gets in with a tweet. We found our run defense and our running game in one game against the Patriots. And I think that you should give a little bit of credit, or we should give a little bit of credit to where credit's due, that, look, the defense of line got to Brady.
It did.
It just really sucked up the running game. They couldn't do anything. I think they held them to under 200 yards, that garbage time touchdowns or whatever. But look, it was a complete game victory, I think, for the Lions. And let's go live down to Ford Field now. Brad Galley standing by. Brad, what's the scene like for us? Set it for us as the fans are getting ready to go home. And I'm sure some of them are still there celebrating.
A lot of youngsters on the field tonight. They do a fifth quarter program here at Ford Field, so a lot of kids that are running on this field have never seen the Lions with a 100-yard rusher. Kerryon Johnson made history, and tonight when he landed on the bench after he found out he hit 101 yards, the reaction was shown on the video board. It was shown on the broadcast. LeGarrette Blount and a bunch of his teammates came over and hit him on the shoulders. Tonight, the run game established the passing game. We know Matthew Stafford can air it out. What we haven't seen for too long is that the Lions can actually run the ball. Tonight, Kerryon Johnson did that. Matthew Stafford found people. Only 9 incompletions, 27 of 36 in a game where he told me earlier this week he was not trying to outduel Tom Brady. In the end, he did. Tom Brady has lost back-to-back games, and he just does not do that. So moments ago, Matthew Stafford told a big group of us, the Lions 0-2 start is not something he's going to think about as he goes to bed tonight. At least that's what he said publicly. He's not going to review the tape and compare and contrast what happened. He promises each game is its own entity. It was interesting to hear him, though, talk about that Marvin Jones play and the touchdown here in the end zone right next to us. Jones was not his first read.
Obviously, this is a good step, but we got to go out there and continue to build. You know, we've got to look at the tape, got to find ways to be better. You know, myself included. So we've just got to continue to build on it and go from there.
What did you think of the 4th inches to not go for it at the time, and then now? What do you think of it?
Listen, I mean, I've been a part of times where that's been a first down, times where that's been no points. You know, I leave that up to those guys. There's some guys upstairs with some charts to figure that stuff out. But any points against a team like that is going to be a good thing. And you know, we had a positive drive. You'd hate to have seen it, you know, end with no points. So it was good to get some points. Obviously, every time we get in the red zone, we want to score a touchdown. But I think we did a nice job controlling the game tonight.
On the throw,
go ahead.
The touchdown throw to Marvin, I think the crowd was yelling that he was open before he even completed that fake.
Yeah.
What did you see on that play?
He was running. He was open. Not really my number one. Just came around the corner and he flashed to me. And man, he ran away from a really good player, and I'm just glad I put it out there and pretty close to in stride. You guys can figure that out later and tell me if that was good enough for you guys.
Was that set up by the run, by the way? Was that set up by the run?
Yeah, it was a play action fake. Yep.
Some swagger and confidence from the Lions quarterback tonight. It's a welcome sight for a lot of people inside Ford Field that for the second time in 2 primetime games here at Ford Field see 2 different reactions from this Lions group. And listen, the dissent inside the room, the dismay with the head coach and the way Matt Patricia has run things, it's still alive. but winning cures a lot of that. And with this Lions team, an 0-3 start is much, much different than a 1-2 start. You could almost sense, though, it was a 23-10 game, Justin and Rico. There was cautious optimism within the Ford Field crowd because we've all seen it. We've seen two things. We've seen the Lions blow those leads in the fourth quarter, and we've seen the Patriots come back from any sort of deficit. So the way they put this one away with defense, with Darius Slay, how big is his health, by the way, and picking off Tom Brady late in this one, and the way Matthew Stafford, and again, that running game establishing what it could do, sets a tone. I'll throw it back to you guys with this one. When Stafford left the press conference room, he went over to ESPN, did an interview with an ESPN reporter who the first question was the same one that we tried to ask him 3, 4, 5 different times. Yeah, but what does this say about that 0-2 start? Is it more disappointing now knowing what you can do? No, we're just trying to do what we can do on a game-to-game basis. He blew it off with basically just saying, we won one, we've got 13 more, we'll see where we can go from there. The big question is, what team is this Lions team? Because the one we saw tonight was much different, guys.
Yeah, Brad, I'll ask you really quickly. What do you think this team needs to do moving forward? They go to Dallas next week. Rico and I started the show by talking about it only matters if you win this game if you go and you beat a bad Dallas team next week.
Yeah. We've seen the Lions do this, right? Mike Foss, our producer, tweeted out tonight, it almost has that feeling of a Lions season gone by, a season where they'll go in and lose 10 games or double-digit games, but they beat the AFC's best, the NFC's best. They have to consistently establish the run, and I think the pass rush tonight, Eli Harold came up with 2 big sacks. The first 3 drives for Tom Brady ended in 3 and outs. If this pass rush can be what we didn't expect it to be when they didn't really add much this offseason, I think that can be a huge wrinkle to this defense, and I think if you can run the ball, basically the 2 big points we talked about this team throughout the offseason, if they can do that and answer those questions, Rico and Justin, I think we're talking about a winning team. Those are 2 big ifs.
2 big ifs, Brad. Thanks so much. Go get some
Very
sound.
big ifs.
Yeah, go get some sound from those guys in the locker room. We'll check in with you tomorrow, of course, as well. Have a good night, bud. All right, there he is.
Forgot to ask, when's the parade?
Yeah, let's not jump to the conclusions.
Okay.
Yeah. We are still looking for your tweets using the hashtag 7SportsCave. We'll get to those as we continue on. Final thoughts of the Lions here. For this, we're going to wrap up and we're going to talk a little college football as well.
I think for the Lions, we've said it, you said it, Brad said it, you have to follow this up. You can't lose next week. Next week is a must-win game because by losing next week, you've negated this win.
100%.
And this is the biggest win in Lions franchise history going back to 91.
To the playoff game.
Yeah, it really is.
I would,
and that's not hyperbole.
You're right. You're not doing hyperbole at all because it is a big victory, but it only matters if you back it up next week. And I think that those guys recognize it. And they live in a different world than you and I and the fan out there watching at home. They live in that week-to-week world. They live in trying to go 1-0 every week. Right. I know it's cliche. Right. I know it's coach speak and it's boring, but it's true. They definitely look at it and they have to draw from this experience and from the losses and say, that's what we can't do again. This is what we need to do more of.
Yeah. Expectations just got elevated.
Oh, expectations. They are tricky. All right. Expectations for Michigan and Michigan State. Have they elevated or are they decreasing? I have a hot take on one of the teams here in town that a little bit decreasing.
That's good TV.
Thank you very much. Use that hashtag 7SportsCave. We'll get to your tweets later on in the show as well. Much more coming up here on the 7SportsCave. Stay with us. We'll be right back.